I'm gonna just, okay, so we are on. Thank you everyone for joining us for our July edition of the Singapore Tableau User Group. We have a pretty jam-packed agenda today. Just gonna do a short welcome with some announcements. And then we're gonna learn something new from Jia, like our very own TUG leader. He's gonna show us 5 cool examples and you're gonna learn something new. So get your Tableau ready, get your notes ready. You don't wanna miss his good tips. We also have an exciting new This For Me session that we created. We hope this goes well. Sarah will brief us through it later, but it's going to be interactive. We're going to go into small groups so that it will be a little bit more interpersonal and you get to mingle with us. And then we'll do a sharing and then we'll wrap up. So this for the next hour is our agenda.
Awesome, thank you.
So yeah, just a couple of announcements. I think one very exciting thing this week, we just launched Tableau 2021.2 as well as our augmented analytics. So that's brand new and you can check it all out at the Tableau new features product page. Just wanted to call out 2 really exciting features that really stood out for me as I was looking through the new feature release myself. I think every time we have a new release every quarter, it's very exciting, especially for us who are already users, and we want to know what's new, what's next, what can we use, what's just new for us. So in 2021.2, Ask Data and Explain Data are now available for viewers. So anyone with a Tableau license can use them. With Ask Data, users can ask questions in your own natural language and get answers with a completely redefined Ask Data experience, including seamless integration into your Tableau dashboards and Ask Data lenses, which is a new way to curate existing data sources for Ask Data. And on the other hand, we have Explain Data, which is also now available for viewers, where users can understand the why behind your data with a reimagined user interface optimized for deeper exploration. So with a single click, anyone can leverage Explain Data to understand more specific points in your data. So I really encourage everyone to try the new Ask Data interactive demo, which is available on this site, tableau.com/product/new-features. It's a step-by-step tour on how to use Ask Data. So if you're new to it, I strongly recommend you checking it out. The second announcement is the 2021 Tableau Ambassador nominations and applications are now open. So every year we are recruiting and accepting new nominations as well as applications for Tableau ambassadors. And I think this year we know that it's been a difficult year for a lot of us globally. So they are also going to take into account all the challenges that we've had, but definitely a good thing if you or you know someone who you would like to nominate for a Tableau ambassador position. We have someone in our team who is one. So head on to this site to learn more about it. And I always like this picture. It's also in my background here. I like to play this game called Find Sarah. She is in there. She's very easy to spot. So strongly recommend everyone to just read a little bit more about it. I think Tableau Ambassadors is a program that we have that we strongly encourage within our community, and we want to build it up, especially in our region. So,
yeah, and having been ambassador, I think for 2 or 3 years now, it's really awesome, and it's a great opportunity to meet and to get to know other people. So if it's something that you're, you know, enthusiastic about and you want to get involved in the community, yeah, get into it.
Okay, so now I'm going to pass the time to Jia, who will teach us something new.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that, Celine. So I have 5 things prepared for you guys today. These kind of stem from a lot of frequently asked questions that I get in just in my day-to-day work, Sometimes, as you guys know, I moonlight as a Tableau trainer. And so folks come up to us and ask these questions, and we have some of these prepared for you. So the first one is a really short one. It's a very commonly asked question, and it's actually a very simple fix too. It's how do I move column headers to the top of the view? So if I were to just build any standard chart, right, as you can see here, category, I'm using Global Superstore. Category on columns, sum of sales on rows. I have my chart that's been made, and most of the time for these kind of charts, the category is shown at the very bottom of the screen. So furniture, office supplies, and technology are at the very bottom. Sometimes we get asked, how do I bring this up to the very top, right? Do I need to click something? Is there a calc that I need to write? And Tableau doesn't make this option easy to get to until now, right? So what I can do actually is if I just go to the analysis drop-down menu and I go to table layout and I go to this advanced option, I can go ahead and click this advanced option and it brings to me an entirely new dialog box that lets me customize both the columns and the rows in terms of the maximum level of labels or horizontal labels that I can have, but also I have this really neat button that says, hey, show the innermost level at the bottom of the view when there is a vertical axis. So there's actually a specific tick box that you can click. And once I tick this box and I hit apply, you can see it automatically moves it to the very top. And so that's kind of neat, right? Isn't that really cool? It's just there, it does it. That works for this particular sheet. So it's okay, you didn't just change the default settings or anything. You could just make a new sheet and you can just change this for each particular sheet. So that's just a quick one, just to get us warmed up, get us started, right? Super easy. Be cool if you guys didn't see that before, right? Because it's not exactly a well-known thing. It's not out in the open.
Is it something new, Jia, or is it always been there? I've never noticed it before.
So I think what ended up happening was there was a version, I don't remember which version that had happened, but there was a version where Tableau rolled out an update where it allowed you to increase the maximum level of dimensions that you can place on columns and rows up to 50. And I believe it was during that version where they kind of rolled out this window.
Yeah, and I think prior to that was at 16, like it was quite a big jump, wasn't it? Yeah.
Previously, you could only have 16 fields up here, but there were lots of demand for folks that wanted to place more dimensions on. And so I think this was one of the things that they snuck in. Yeah, like I said, it's not out in the open. You have to dig through the options to be able to find this one. So hopefully that is helpful for you guys. You like that one. Another example here that we're going to look at is we're going to start off with a little bit of a review. And this review is coming from some advanced things that you can do with Tableau when it comes to using these helper functions. So we have a couple of helper functions in Tableau called index, first, last, size, and rank as well. These are helper functions, and they help us with certain calculations. So I'll give you an example, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what these helper functions do first. Okay. And maybe just through the chat, if you could let me know, hey, I know about helper functions, or hey, this is brand new to me, that would be really helpful as well. So I can just get a sense of where you guys are at as well. So do ping us and let us know. So to show you what these helper functions can do, I'm going to just make a table first. So I'll bring order date. Again, everything's using Global Superstore. I'll bring order date onto columns. Oops, I grabbed order ID. We'll grab order date. And then we'll go ahead and grab subcategory. I'm just going to make any table. The year here is semi-important. I just kind of want to have 4 of these columns here so that I can bring sales into text. And we see this as a text table. And my goal here is going to be able to find the top 5, the bottom 5 highest kind of fields in here. And I need to use some helper functions to do that. But first, let's talk about how index, first, last work, right? And so just for now, I'll remove text off, and we have this table. And what's actually happening is for each one of these columns, either down or across, Tableau knows what position each cell is in. And you can see this actually by using something like index, right? So some of you probably already know how to use index. So we'll just double click here and make an ad hoc calculation. So I'll write index right here. I'll put enter. And by default, it goes on detail. But in order for me to see what text does, let's go ahead and put it onto text. And if you look at it, I'll zoom in for you. You can see that it knows that, hey, I'm assigning a position to each one of these, a numerical value. It starts at 1 and it ends at 4. Well, that's because by default with table calculations, Tableau goes table across, right? So it's starting here and it's going 1, 2, 3, 4. I can change the scope and direction. So if I were to right click this table calculation and select compute using and choose table down, it's going to go ahead and obviously go and count for me 17, right? So it's going this way. But with my little special calculation that I'm going to use, I'm going to change this from table down to table across, then down, because then what it gives me is it counts across the entire table and it tells me, hey, you have 68 cells here. So you get an idea, right? That's what index does. It starts at 1 and it counts to the very end of this, right? I have another useful function aside from index, which you'll see me use here. We'll take index off. Let's look at size. Size is helpful because when I use size and I throw that on text, it tells me, hey, across this entire table, remember it's running table across, there's 4 cells. And I can obviously change that to table down, but let's just go ahead and choose right table across, then down. That's helpful because it tells me that there are 68 cells in all of this. Why do you use cell size? Well, have you ever had to write a calculation and then that visualization changes and then you realize like, oh no, I need to reconfigure my calculation? Well, size can actually help you prevent from having to do duplicate work, because why I chose order date specifically is that if I chose order date and I clicked on this little plus button, it's going to expand and show me quarters, right? So now I have my size that's also recalculating because it's a table calculation. It now tells me that there's 272 cells. So you'll see me use this in a moment, right? So index and size, both very helpful in telling you and giving you the accurate number of cells that are in here. First and last is something that we're going to use in another exercise, and they're very helpful as well, because if I grab first and I throw that onto text, you'll see what it does is it actually says, okay, the first cell, if I'm counting table across, is going to be 0. First is 0, and it counts negatively, right? So it goes 0, -1, -2, -3. Last does kind of the opposite of it. So I'll show you here. We'll type last. Throw that. And again, these are all table across. So if we needed to change the scope, you can just do that, right? So first is 0 here. Last counts backwards, and it goes from 3 to 0. And what I'm really kind of counting on and using later is I'm going to be using these zeros. I can abuse this because I can say, well, if first equals 0, then this, right? And first always is going to be 0. Or if I say if last equals 0, then this. Well, last is always going to be 0. So I can actually make things happen in each specific position by me knowing what first and last kind of is, right? Or even if I said if index equals 3, then do this, right? So you can abuse this by writing these if-then calculations. So back to my point, what I wanted to do was I wanted to write a calculation that was going to find for me the highest sales, right? And highlight for me the top 5 and the bottom 5. And this for me, I'm going to use a rank. To do this, I'll make a calculation, create calculated field. We'll give this a name. We'll call this one rank of sales, and I'll write a calculation. We'll say, well, look, if the rank of my sum of sales, right, is less than or equal to 5, because I'm looking for my top 5, right? Then call this, right, my top 5. Else, here a little bit of background there. So if you are unmuted, maybe just mute yourself there. That'll just help me. Else if the rank of the sum of sales, right, that is greater than the size minus 5, then we're going to call that, right, then call that the bottom 5, right? And then from here, we'll say, well, else everything else, right, is going to be other. And I'm doing the size minus 5 very strategically, right? We're ending this because now I'll have a calculation that can tell this to me whether or not the number of rows or columns expands. And so when I go from here and I save this calc, I can take this and put it onto color. And what you'll notice is that it's saying, hey, look, everything's within top 5, everything's blue. And that's not what I kind of expected because I wanted, 3 colors. The reason why it's like this is because don't forget, when I create a Windows calculation with Tableau, the default is always, right, table across if it can, right? So I have to rescope this. Whenever you use a table calculation, you need to rescope it. So we'll just right click it. And this time we'll just compute using across then down. And look at that. I do have 3 colors. We'll change the colors. So I'll go ahead and make bot 5. Red, we'll make other. Gray, we'll make top 5. Blue, it is what it is. I don't have to make it perfect for now. You can see I have 5 colors. How do we color the cells? Well, if you were to use a standard text table and you want to make a highlight table, we would change this mark from automatic to square. But you have to notice that this time we're using a discrete field on color. And when it's discrete, it's not going to blow up and give you that entire kind of grid look. And you have to cheat a little bit here. So I'll give you a little hack. Instead of square, we'll use bar. Okay. And then after we use bar, I'm going to just double click and write another ad hoc calculation. And it's just going to do a minimum of 1. So I'm forcing every single one of these to 1. And I'll move this onto size. So everything is a 1. And then I simply click on size and I max it out. And then now I have a top 5, bottom 5, and other. What's fantastic to this calculation as well is if you wanted to, if I click on plus, it expands, still gives me top 5 and bottom 5. And I can make this flexible as well, because if I were to create maybe a parameter, right? And we called this parameter top n, and we made this a list, and this could be 5, 10, and let's just say 15 or whatever you want, right? You can input anything you want. I simply then just take this parameter top n and reconfigure my calculation that's called the rank of sales. So we'll go ahead and find that, right? My rank of sales. And instead of taking my 5 here, we'll just take my parameter that is top n, and then we'll take my minus the parameter of top n, right? And then we'll click OK. And then remember, we have to show the parameter. So right click the parameter, show the parameter. If it lets me, as it's loading, show the parameter, and then make this maybe a single value list or something, right? And then we can go, hey, top 5, top 10, right? Here's top 10, top 15, and so on and so forth. You can make this a number that you just go ahead and change, right? So very easy, dynamic, works, and that's how that helper function helps you, right? Pretty fantastic. I see some folks chatting. So my team here, they're like Celine or Sean and Sarah, if you guys could ping back folks, if there are questions, that'd be great. Awesome. So this is really helpful. And so for anybody that's interested in kind of seeing the calculation again, I'll show that to you. And this works, right? I can throw this on filters as well if I need to. And so here's what that looks like. Right, there you go. You take a screenshot if you like, but we also put this on YouTube, so you'll have that, right? So very easy. Size helps you. If you didn't use size, you would maybe use like just last -4 or index -6. But what happens there is that if you change the chart size, you're gonna have to redo your calculation. And so size automatically makes it work for you. Okay.
Lots of praise coming in on the chat. So
Awesome.
lots of
Good
people
stuff.
liking that. That was what's happening.
Awesome. Great stuff. Thanks guys for that. Second one is third one is, how do we draw a 45-degree angle with a trend line? This one's kind of interesting. You'd be surprised how many people actually ask for this one. And it's actually pretty straightforward for us to build. And this is where we're going to use a little bit of a hack as well when we go ahead and use our trick here. So I have a calculation. I'll show this to you here in a moment, but maybe we just build it from scratch here. I'll take this angle off. So we have no chart here. All I have on the chart is the month of the order date for Global Superstore and sum of sales, right? So there's 48 months. I have sales. If I were to normally just draw a trend line, I would bring the trend line up. It'd be a linear, and then they would draw a trend line based on the figures here. It wouldn't be at a 45-degree angle. I'm not sure why, but we've gotten lots of requests to say, look, can I just draw a trend line or a line going this way, just because our management wants to see kind of like what that upward momentum looks like. And that's where we want things to be so they could see that. So how do I do that? Kind of interesting. So first thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and just remove this trend line here. And we're going to write a calculation. This calculation, I will just call 45. I already have one that's called 45-degree angle, but we'll do it again, 45-degree angle 2 demo. And then this is where we're going to abuse that kind of if first equals 0 thing, right? So if, I'll write if first equals 0, which it does, right? First is always going to equal 0, right? If you say if first equals 0, it always becomes true. We'll say then 0. So we're just going to say, look, the first point in this chart is just going to be 0. I'm forcing a 0 there. And then I'll say, well, else if last equals 0, which it does, right? Then, and we're just going to put 0, sum sales. I'm just putting some sales there, but just in case there's a 0 there or anything there, it's a negative, I'll just make it a positive. So that's just to prevent anything that's happening there. And then I'll say else null. And what this will do is when I take this calculation and I drag this onto the chart, Tableau is only going to give me 0 and then the last digit of sales inside whatever chart that I already have on the view, right? Based on the date, right? So if first equals 0, then 0. So it's just going to force the 0 to be there. And then else if last equals 0, then give me sum of sales. Well, last is going to be 0. So we're going to just get the sum of sales. Everything else is null. And when I take this calculation and I click OK, and I take this and I bring it onto rows, what you'll see is just 2 dots. Boom and boom. And I can match this up if I wanted to. If I mouse over this one, this will say 0, right? Because sales, it's 0, but then my 45-degree angle says 0. And then these 2 dots will match up, right? 503, 503. Then what we're going to do is we are going to grab a trend line and we're just going to place it on linear for 45-degree angle. I got it in. Then for my second card, my 45-degree angle card, I'll click on color and I will just move the opacity to 0% so that you don't see it anymore because it's completely transparent. And now I'll take my 2 axes, right click this, make it a dual axis and change the colors. So we'll go ahead and make this one here gray and make my sales blue. And you can see here, I've just created a chart. I'm not going to synchronize the axis because if I synchronize it, it'll make that not a 45-degree angle anymore. But if I did, it just leaves it as that, makes it a 45-degree angle. And then you can always hide the axis if you want. So that's just a little neat trick. I'm not sure how valuable it will be to you, but I have gotten this question quite a bit. So I thought maybe that would be cool for you to use. Okay. And it highlights this if first equals 0 type of trick that you can use, right? It also shows you a little bit of Tableau magic with dual axis, right? Anything that's very cool looking and special that you see in Tableau public, chances are good that there is a dual axis happening behind there. Okay, so the next one that we have is, what if you had a text table like this, and then you wanted to specifically highlight the columns and the rows? So for here, if I wanted to highlight art, I'd click on highlight art. It highlights art. If I wanted to click on Asia Pacific, highlight Asia Pacific, we can highlight Asia Pacific. So how do we make this chart? This is also very, very interesting. It's very cool for us to build. So I'll make a new sheet. We'll build this. I'll build a sheet first, and we'll just use subcategory onto rows, market onto columns. We'll go ahead and double click on sales, bring those sales figures in. And then what I need to do is I need to write a calculation. This calculation is going to be called highlight color, and we'll build it piece by piece, right? So we'll create a calculated field. We'll call this highlight color class demo. And we're simply just going to say, look, if market equals APAC, then, right, 1, else 0, end, right? I'll take this now and I'll click OK. And we'll take this and we'll throw it onto color. Now, I know we get some pretty funky numbers here. It goes from 0 to 979. And I only wrote a calculation that's doing, right, if 1 or 0. And what this is doing is just summing all of the counts. And that's fine. But instead of using sum, let's just change this, right click it, and change it into a minimum. Because now I get either 0 or 1, right? Because it's either 0 or 1. And then I'm going to do some color magic here because this is a gradient. And what I can do with a gradient is I can actually cheat and use Tableau's stepped colors. So we'll choose custom diverging. Right now I have 2 colors. And for 0, we'll go ahead and just make that white. And for the solid, we'll use blue, right? And I'll take stepped color, force it to just be 2 steps. And then we'll click OK. Right? And that's kind of neat to get us the highlight, but I think I'm going to change it a little bit more, right? Because, right, on this case, I'm going to do a couple of more fancier things. We'll go ahead and change this to square. And now I have my solid colors, right? It doesn't move yet. It doesn't change anything yet. I don't actually have this other side. So we're going to parameterize this, right? So just in case we wanted to see that, again, I'll open up that calculation. It's called highlight class demo, right? And then if I just needed to add one more thing, we'll just say, well, or, right, if subcategory equals, and then we'll just go ahead and put in something like art. We'll click OK, apply. This will go ahead and highlight the other piece. I just need to add a parameter here and a parameter here. That gives you the opportunity to then change the colors. How do we create these parameters? Create parameter. We'll make this parameter a string. We'll make this market class demo, right? And then for my list, I can actually just pull all the values from my market. So insert, add values from global superstore, go ahead and add market. Boom, we've got it. Make another parameter, create parameter. We'll go ahead and call this subcategory. We'll go ahead and make this class demo. Go ahead and do a list, add values, global superstore, and then we'll pull this from my subcategory. Oh, it's a float, so I need to change this back into a string and then pull this from my subcategory, right? Click OK. And then lastly, last thing that I need to do, go back into my calculation, which is called highlight class demo, and just replace these two fields, right? If it says APAC there, we'll go ahead and take this class demo, move it. For art, replace that and bring in subcategory class demo, click OK. Right click class demo, show filter, right click, show filter. And then now I can choose binders, Latin America. Now you can highlight each one of the columns. Good. Pretty neat. Last one here for you is how do I combine kind of measures into a single line? So I'll give you an idea. Let's say I have one line, this is called sales. And I have another one that's going to be called budget, like this, right? What if I wanted to essentially say, look, I want this half of my line to be called sales, and then this half of my line to be called budget, so that I can kind of see it change, right? Depending on a day, either today's day or, you know, a specific date in time, right? In one line. So right half, left half, sales, right half, budget. We can do that as well, right? It takes a little bit of Tableau magic and calculations, but we can definitely do this. So here's what the finished product looks like, and we'll show you how to do that, right? So what I'm choosing specifically is just one day, and then everything on the left, right? That is actual sales, and everything on the right-hand side, this is budget sales. So you can kind of do like this neat little forecasting bit or create this effect. To do this, I'll make a new sheet. We'll go ahead and bring date up. I'm using the coffee chain query data set. Tableau publishes this, so you can Google this and be able to find this, not a problem. Because you do need budget sales, right? I actually need budget sales here as well too. And so what I'm essentially doing is saying, just cut the line. This side becomes sales, this side become budget sales. I need a calculation for that. This calculation is going to be placed on rows instead of sales and budget sales. And so let's go ahead and make it. So what does this calculation look like? It looks like this. So let's go ahead and create calculated field. Where's my calculation box? Here it is. We'll bring that over. Oh, so my screen here, I have multiple screens and it is making my Tableau. Oh, my Tableau just crashed. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and open that one more time. Multiple screens, moving it around. Not great there. So we'll just connect and try that again. Give me one second.
Nothing like a live demo Tableau crash.
Nothing like a live demo, and then it crashes. There you go. This is why we test. So let's do that. Oh, okay, recover, open. That should work. Let's see if this works. Okay, so that works. Perfect. Bring that over. It's recovered. There we go. The resolution just goes crazy once I change it onto this screen. I have multiple monitors. And so this one's not letting me right click here. So there's another option I have to change because of like high DPI scaling. So I just have to change this one to make this one my main display. That fixes it. And now I can right click again, I think. So let's see this. There we go. Okay, I can right click. Perfect. So I'll make a new sheet. So now let's have a look at this. We can rebuild. Order date up, right click that, make that month, and then I need my calculation. So we'll do a create calculated field. We'll go ahead and call this one sales A and B, because this is going to be sales actual and budgeted. And simply we just need to say, look, if the date, oh, I'm using global superstore. So I need to swap over and bring date up. Sorry, guys. Make this month. Make this month. Bring sales. Well, I don't need sales. We just write a calculation. All right. So sales A and B. And then we'll say, look, if the date equals, or excuse me, not equals, is less than, right? And you can insert a random date, or this could be a parameter, or this could be, right, any date that you choose, or it could be today. But because my data doesn't actually have today, because we're in 2021 and this data goes from 2011 to 2013, I'm not going to use today. I'm going to use December 27, 2012, right? I'm just kind of picking somewhere in between these dates, right? So if the date is this, then give me the actual sales, else give me the budget sales, right? Boom, right? And then end, right? And then from here, I'll copy this, throw this on, because I'm lazy, I'm copying it, throw that onto color, or throw that onto rows. So now we have that, right? And you can see this half is going to be budget sales. This other half is going to be sales. I just need to color it now. So I'll make another calculation. And we'll call this one sales design, right? Sales designation. I'll shorten this. And then what we'll call this is, we'll call this then actual sales, and call this other half budgeted sales. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'll show you this little trick here that we need to do this. I'll click OK, and I'll save it first, and then I'll put this onto color. But you'll notice that once I put it onto color, there's this break in this line. And that's because this is a discrete field. So you can see here, it saves here as a discrete field. And in order for this line to connect, what you actually need to do is you have to change it from a discrete field into an aggregated field. And to do that, the best way with dates is to use this field or function called ATTR. And what ATTR does is ATTR basically says if min dimension equals max dimension, then min dimension, else, what was the rule? Or else asterisk end. And so what this basically does is it's just a test for heterogeneity, right? Where it's just saying, look, if there's only one date, aggregate this. If there's only one date, show me that one date. Otherwise, aggregate all the other dates that are not there, right? And so it fake aggregates it is the simplest way that I can explain it. And then I can take this now, and once I save it, you'll see here that the sales design now goes from a dimension into a measure. And now if I throw this on to color, it gives me two colors, and I can simply change the colors, and we'll call this budgeted sales. I can go ahead and click on label, show the mark labels, do min max, and show line ends, show me the first and the last point. And then I can do some labels and just say, hey, this is actual, this one is budgeted, and you get the idea, right? But that was the main piece here, being able to cut that in half while still being able to show your actual. And you could do this for everything. I could do sales and profit if I wanted to, sales and shipping cost if I wanted to. And so it's just being able to choose where that cutoff line is and bringing that in. So that's all I got. I think that took about 15 minutes. Sorry if it went a little fast. Happy to answer any questions there for the team, and hope you found that really useful.
I know I did. I think there was some really awesome content there. Like I say, I always learn from you. So really well done. And I'm looking forward to watching it again on YouTube, because I think, you know, you did get through a lot of content really fast.
And it was a great job there. Learning, and I was trying to do some of that while you were doing as well, but great tricks. Thank you.
No, awesome. That's why we record it. Sorry if it did go a little bit fast there, guys. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll hand that over maybe to Sarah to talk us through the next event that we have planned for everybody. I'll stop sharing my screen here.
Celine, can I get you to just share the slide deck? Sorry, I don't have it open on my machine. I probably should have.
Sure, just give me 1 second.
So we've got a new kind of area that we're trialing out today, which is kind of a bit of a Tableau viz for me. So I think Celine's going to pull us all into groups in a minute. And the three of us, I think, three of us will have a group each. And we have a really basic data set. It's actually the Makeover Monday for this week data set. And it's looking at the number of people born in the USA per day between 1994 and 2014. So 2 decades of information and real basic. So you've got the date. They've also split it into year, month, day of week, and the births. So the idea is just to kind of tell us what to viz or tell us what to do and see if we can build something in 10 minutes. And then I think we'll just all come back quickly at the end and show each other. And Celine's going to quickly select a winner based on anything she wants it to be based on, because I don't think we'll get that far in 10 minutes, but let's have a look.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pull everyone into groups. So just give me 1 second to do that. And while, okay, Zoom is not cooperating right now. Just give me 1 second.
Just looking at the time, we might have less than 10 minutes. We might have to go down to, I don't know, what do you think, Celine?
It might have to be 5 minutes,
Okay, 5 minutes.
but we'll see. I'll pull you guys back and there'll be a countdown timer once we are nearing the time. So let me quickly just pull you guys in.
So Jia, Sean and I will all have our Tableaus open and you guys can just tell us what to build. That's the idea.
Okay, so you guys should be going into your rooms right now. So everyone who is still here, I think I see Jitendra, Waiku, Louise, and Alex might want to join the room. Jitendra and Waiku, do you guys see a notification to join the room? Jitendra, are you there? Welcome back, everyone. I hope that was not too stressful. People should be coming back to this main session now, hopefully. I think there was a countdown of like 60 seconds. So let's just wait for everyone to come back. And since the first person I saw was Sean, Sean, I think you can go first. If you just want to share a screen.
You might be on mute, Sean.
Oh yeah, you might be on mute.
Oh, okay, there it is. Once I started sharing the screen, the button went somewhere else. Well, hey, yes, that was a fun exercise. Glad to meet Manu, Young, and Luis in our group. I think we were kind of really analyzing the data in there. So I don't think our viz was very super fancy or anything like that. But I think what we were kind of very keen in was looking at what was that trend over these type of years, and looking at how this was really kind of maxing up in 2007. And as an American, my first son was born in 2007, so we are part of that peak number there. But somehow it did kind of come down there, and we were kind of talking about that kind of was the financial economic crisis. You know, things were kind of good, but then the financial crisis went down, and apparently we stopped making babies. And so we also use the analytic function in here to bring in the average. So we use that as a good reference line to compare it across over the years there. So, but yeah, we had a lot of discussion here, and so that was kind of fun. So,
Awesome. I think that's really good.
Nice. Like the little personal touch there.
yeah.
Sarah, you can go next.
Okay.
You let me know who was on your team.
Yeah, so I had on my team, I had Darius, Geta, and Alex on my team. And I'm just going to share my screen now. Can everyone see that? Or can you see?
Yep. Oh, okay. Very nice.
So we developed this. So we looked at all the years here going down, and we took the months across the top to form kind of a heat map. And we did add a little bit of functionality there. We did want to go and add some of the awesome stuff that Jia just taught us, but we couldn't remember exactly how to do it. So we're all looking forward to the YouTube to learn that. But we did come up with a little bit of insight here, and that the least popular months to be born are February and November. So that was our insights, and that was our viz.
Nice. I like the whole visual display. It's very easy to see what what you just pointed out. So good job. And yes, we will look forward to seeing Jia's calculation, which we all can't remember.
Come on, guys. All right. Thanks for that. I'll share my screen. In my team, we worked with Kevin, and I worked with Jose as well. We actually played around with the data a little bit. We made a couple of different charts. First, we looked at what this looked like across months, and then we split it out into 2 decades, just the first decade and second decade, just to see if there were any changes. But obviously with the data, there wasn't too much. It just seems like it does kind of looks like births are seasonal, guys. Who would have thought? That's very interesting. And then we made 2 charts, one that was a bit similar to what Sarah did. So I'll do a Control Z here. We looked at it like this first, right? And then we added some stepped colors so that we could kind of observe and notice that, hey, people don't really like having babies on the 1st of January or on April Fools, or if this is a US data set, like similar, we've noticed July 4th or Christmas. Hey, want to go to hospital on Christmas? No, I don't think so, right? And then
What's
obviously
November? Is that
so,
thanks?
Well, so we thought this was interesting. This is Thanksgiving holidays.
It's Thanksgiving, and the holiday changes over the years. It's the third Thursday,
right?
And so that's why it's kind of like a week.
So it moves, but then we were playing around with the shading, and we did notice that, like, well, there's probably about a difference of like 20,000 births. It could just be a shading thing. It could just be a gradient thing. But now that I think about it, you know, I've it could be very, very much, right? Thanksgiving. That's exactly what it is. But anyway, and then so we took it a step back and we thought, well, let's look at this across different years too. And so I actually, thought we could make an animation of it. If we look at it across different years and put years on pages, then you can actually see it kind of shift, right? And it's kind of just interesting because every year it actually it just moves back a day and then it shifts again and it stops. So not too sure.
I'm thinking cesareans and weekends.
Yeah.
Doctors don't want to work weekends, so maybe they're interested in cesareans.
Right. Right. So these 2 days could actually, like you said, could just be weekends, right, as it's moving. And so it's very interesting data. It seems very much staggered, and it's incredibly interesting that you can see this pattern with human birth cycles. Amazing. So anyway,
That is really interesting. I really like the whole pattern going on here.
right, it's constantly
Maybe
moving.
Yeah, it's like you pointed out, it's very seasonal, and yeah, just being able to do that in a short 5 minutes, wow, so impressed.
Right.
So
Anyway,
yeah,
that's
good
all.
job, everyone.
I'll stop sharing.
Thank you. So yeah, I think it's really hard to pick a winner. I would say everyone's a winner here. I gotta say I did enjoy Yes, the most, just because of that pattern. I think that was very impressive, and being like thinking out of the box and even putting in animations to show that seasonal pattern trend was cool. So yeah, your team is the winner.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Yay, what do we get? What do my team members get?
Let me just pull out my screen again to show you. Just give me 1 second. It's a pain working with multiple screens, like you mentioned.
Yeah, my Tableau crashed during the breakout session as well. No, I think the thing is we just have multiple monitors. One has high resolution, one has low resolution. When you move it across, it goes crazy.
Indeed. So the winners, so your team, you had Jose as well as Kevin. You have both won for yourselves a book of your choice. So take a look at any of these books and you can let me know in the chat, or I will sync up with you guys after this meetup and you can let me know which book you want and I will send it to you along with a very nice Tableau t-shirt. So well done, guys. Really appreciate everyone's participation and do look forward to more of such activities in the future. And we have way more prizes to give out. So hope everyone had fun today.
Awesome. Join us.
Everyone.
Thanks for being here.
So thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a good dinner. Go enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.